So Nicolas Pepe is unhappy. Are we surprised? Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. In this video, I just want to look at Nicolas Pepe's comments yesterday in the French press, saying how unhappy he is with the current situation. Just before I do that, I just want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you like what I do, please click the subscribe button down in the corner there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well. And if you've got any comments at all about the current situation with Nicolas Pepe, please drop them in the box below. Is he the only player who you think is unhappy, or is he just the only one who's actually come out publicly and said it? Certainly an interesting debate, isn't it? So obviously yesterday, he's put his neck on the block a little bit here, hasn't he, Nicolas Pepe, coming out and saying how unhappy he is with the current situation, with the fact that he's on the bench every week, he's not playing enough minutes. Of course, you'd expect any player not playing to be upset. But is it a good idea to come out in the press and say that, bearing in mind what's happened to some other players who have maybe disagreed with Mikel Arteta? He doesn't seem to suffer falls gladly. He's got his own method of doing things, and if you're not going to buy into his method, he's not interested. And you can see that quite clearly by the team selections that he's made. Now, it's quite obvious to me that Nicolas Pepe isn't doing enough of what Mikel Arteta expects him to do or wants him to do. Is that because it's not Nicolas Pepe's game? Is he not able to do that? Or is it just not suiting his style? Either way, it's quite clear that unless Nicolas Pepe either changes his attitude or changes his performances and the way his application to the job, then he's not going to get a regular start. Is this partly because he's not one of Arteta's players? Arteta didn't buy him. Maybe Arteta just doesn't fancy him. Who knows? It just seems strange that this time last year, and towards the end of Unai Emery's reign, of course, Nicolas Pepe's first season, he was pretty much starting every game in the Premier League as he was settling in. And now he's barely getting a look in. People point to his stats. His goal involvements have been good, considering the minutes he's had on the pitch. And you can't argue with that. But I do feel there's more to it than that. I don't feel his influence on the game is strong enough to necessarily warrant him starting every week. I know the argument at the moment is Willian doing enough? Is Willian justifying his place ahead of Nicolas Pepe? And you've got to say he probably isn't either. But maybe Willian's attitude in training, his general attitude all round is maybe better than Nicolas Pepe's, and that might explain the reason why. Now, I do feel as though Mikel Arteta has now got to really come into his own. You could see the improvements that he made towards the end of last season. Defensive shape of the team was much better. We wasn't conceding as many goals. And yes, it had taken away a little bit of our attacking flow, but we were picking up positive results in general. And of course, we won the FA Cup. It was fantastic. Now, I'm sure, like many of you, I was expecting us to push on from that point, move forward this season, start to show real good improvements, not necessarily win the league or challenge for the title, but certainly be pushing on to be a force within the top four, challenging in for the top four. You know, it's very difficult, isn't it, now? There's 7 or 8 teams that are fighting for the top four, but I did expect us to be in that fight and with a good chance of actually getting there. And unfortunately, it's not working out like that at all, is it? Now, you could look at our fixtures and say we've had a tough run of fixtures, and we have. There's no doubt. You know, we've had 3 of our toughest away games: Liverpool, Manchester City, and Manchester United. 3 games where we generally don't pick up many points. We actually got 3 points out of those 3 games, which I suppose overall isn't a bad total. But unfortunately, it's the manner of the performances in a lot of these games that have caused a lot of cause for concern, if I'm honest. The home games in particular, you know, we've now played 4 home games in the Premier League. We've won 2 and lost 2, but we could easily have lost all 4, if we're honest. We certainly didn't deserve to win the first 2 against West Ham and Sheffield United. We were fortunate to win both of those games. And of course, we've lost the last 2 without even scoring a goal. The issues are quite obvious, aren't they? It is in the forward areas. Now, Nicolas Pepe saying he's unhappy. I look at Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he doesn't look happy either. You know, he's the player, isn't he, always playing with a smile on his face, and he just doesn't appear to be doing that at the moment. Is that because his role in the team's changed? He's having to do a lot more defensive work. Obviously, that's affected his goal output, isn't it? Just 2 goals in the Premier League this season, and one of them was a penalty. Just about to say that 1 goal from open play against Fulham on the opening day of the season. And this is not a run that he'll be used to himself. You know, he's regularly scores goals, doesn't he? Since he's come to Arsenal, he's regularly scored goals. Before that at Dortmund as well. So He clearly isn't happy either, and I'm sure there are other players. They certainly don't look happy, do they? We're not. The players aren't playing with as though they're enjoying their football, and it does unfortunately take me back to this time last year when things were starting to unravel for Unai Emery. The same thing was happening, wasn't it? Players didn't look as though they were enjoying the football, and that seems to be the case now as well. And it's quite worrying because if the players aren't enjoying it, they're not going to perform to the best of their abilities. And you can see that quite clearly is what's happening. And it is starting to worry me now. Arteta's a very inexperienced manager. This is his first managerial role. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see now how he copes with this, because this is the first, I say, real period of difficulties that he's faced so far in his managerial career. What we've got to remember as well is that he's come from Manchester City, who have better players in their squad, and he's used to working with them players, and maybe when he was telling them to do certain things, they were able to do those certain things because they were a better quality player. Maybe some of our players are struggling to adapt to the new system and the new way of playing. Maybe it will come, but maybe it won't. Maybe the players he'll just lose the players on the back of making them do stuff that they're not comfortable or happy doing, and doesn't suit them. And maybe Nicolas Pepe coming out now with these comments could be the start of the whole thing unraveling. What we've also got to throw into the mix as well, and I know people don't want to keep talking about it, but the whole handling of the Mesut Ozil situation. Now, if Arteta is telling the truth, if when he said a couple of weeks ago that he was left out purely for footballing reasons, you can't tell me that there's not players in that squad who'll be looking at that statement and thinking, we see Mesut Ozil in training every day, we've played with him, we know what a great player he is. You can't tell me that he's not good enough on a footballing side to be playing in this team at this moment in time when we're struggling so badly for creativity. And if the players are starting to question that, then that's a problem. Now, of course, the other side that it is Arteta isn't telling the truth about that. The players know the real reason, and that's got nothing to do with it. But there seems to be a link between the way this Mesut Ozil situation has been handled recently and the performances on the pitch, which have gone backwards and downhill very, very quickly. I say it's a worry. Is it a crisis yet? No, it isn't. Let's be clear. We have had some tough games, but it's more for me about the level of the performance of the team every week. We can lose games, of course we can. We're not, we're not a Manchester City or a Liverpool. We are going to lose games along the way. Of course we are. We know that. It's more about the performances that we're putting in, and certainly from an attacking point of view, it's more than poor, isn't it? It's dreadful watching us play at the moment. There's clearly an issue in the way the team are playing with the players that we've got. It's not working, and if it's not working, you've got to try and change it. So let's hope that over this next week or so, when the players are on international duty, that Arteta and his team can come up with some solutions to this, whether it's different personnel, whether it's a slightly different style, maybe it's tweaking things here and there. Things have got to change. In terms of Nicolas Pepe himself, I personally believe he's got to do more when he plays. Yes, he's got, as we said, his stats are pretty good in terms of his goal involvement, but far too often he's disappearing out of games, isn't he? He'll run up blind alleys, he falls over his own feet, and although he's capable of some great moments, fantastic moments in a game, he can score a great goal or he can produce a great assist, he's not doing those things consistently enough. So me personally, I can understand why he's maybe not playing as much, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, do we? I think there's more to all of this than what meets the eye, and I think Arteta's got a massive job now. This is where he's really going to prove himself as a top manager. If he can turn this around and get us playing better football, get the results on track, he would have proved the point. But this, for me, is a turning point now. I think the next run of games up till Christmas is going to be crucial. We've got some really tough games, and unless we start turning things around, we're going to have a struggle, aren't we? So it's a big moment in Arteta's career now. Has he got enough about him to be able to sort this out and turn it around? Or is it too late? Has he lost the players already? It seems crazy to think that. But for me, the way the performances have gone downhill really, really quickly since the start of this season has been, I'm shocked by it, actually. I was expecting to say progress this season. I was expecting to see us move forward, play better, and get better results and actually be competing in the top four. And it looks like at this moment in time, we're a long way off that. Arteta has got time to turn it around, but he needs to get the players on board, doesn't he? And Nicolas Pepe could prove to be an important player for us. He needs to get him on board. He needs to get more out of him. He needs to get more out of a few players. And this is his time to really step up now and prove himself as a top manager. So that's that there. Let me know what you think in the comments. this current situation? Is he handling the players right? Is there more he needs to do on that side of it? Does he need to stop being so regimented with the way he wants everything to happen? Let the players express themselves a bit more, give them a little bit more freedom. Maybe that's what's needed. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Stay tuned to the channel. I've got a great live show coming up on Friday, the Positive Arsenal podcast. I've got some really great guests on there. That's going to be such a good show. That's going to be 7 o'clock on Friday. I'll be putting some stuff out to promote that. So stay tuned to the channel. Lots going on. Thanks for your support so far. Thanks for watching this video. And in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners, come on.